This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
So now on to the main show, where we're gonna share some trivia about a lovely, timeless magician duo that is Penn and Teller. I knew at the beginning of the show we were gonna honor so many different comedians, and this took a while. And I was like, we talk about them on and off again. We got to talk about their blend of humor, illusion, skepticism. Penn and Teller are being discussed tonight. Over 40 years, they've actually inspired a new generation of magicians and trained some of them. You've seen them in everything.
Yeah, been around since 75.
I think my introduction to them was in Fantasia 2000. Yeah, it's just they met in the 70s back in Philly. Their whole unique style of magic was called Deceptive Simplicity, and they now have the CW show Fool Us, which I've seen some of, and previously they had the Showtime show Bullshit, which Gil was
my favorite.
Brushing up on. Recently they've been on a lot of recent Who's Line episodes, and it's so funny. My pal Tony caught some of those same episodes, and he was texting me back. He's like, how does Teller have all these golf balls exploding out of his mouth? How does that fucker do it? I'm like, I wish I knew, man. So you've seen him on everything. Like, you've seen him do cartoon stuff, Penn Jillette.
Babylon 5.
Right? They're on a great episode of Babylon 5. I like the West Wing episode they're on where they accidentally offend a diplomat by accident, playing themselves. Have like a correspondence dinner. They've been featured on Johnny Carson, David Letterman, and even entertained Prince Charles, among others. So they're known for debunking their popular myths and exposing frauds. So that's kind of why I really dig them. They are also skilled musicians. Penn has played the bass, and Teller is a drummer. And you can often see him in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I saw him in 2011.
And see, I kid you not, Gil, you looked like a movie scout producer there. You were just getting done with the show. You just had the beer.
I wore that same hat to see Harlan Williams do a stand-up comedy. He kept calling me Inspector Gadget.
Oh, whoa. Harlan Williams, man. Yeah. You guys might know him from Rocket Man and Dumb and Dumber. Man, there's a name I have not heard in a minute. That's awesome. So Mike, it's been a minute. What was your introduction to them?
Boy, it might have been Letterman, or didn't they do a thing in the 80s where they'd get a bunch of people together and go see a movie with them?
Kinda.
Yeah. There was a Friday night thing. They do it in New York City. I think it
was like part of their movie trope. I think that's why it made sense how Penn was the voice of Comedy Central for the longest time and often introduced in Mystery Science Theater episodes.
Yeah. I remember that for about a year or so they were doing that. And they were both on Miami Vice.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. That's right.
Penn Jillette was in an episode of the original Equalizer.
Okay.
Oh man, that's true. Yeah.
I couldn't find it in his IMDb, but I know I've seen the episode. It was just a brief appearance he has.
Maybe he was listed as playing himself or something. I don't know.
I just watched the clip with Teller. I'm wondering if they dubbed his voice because he actually speaks in the episode.
Yeah, I think you're right, because when I've seen him briefly speak in movie appearances, it definitely sounds different than when I've seen him in like history of comedy type documentaries.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's just what I like about him too. And James is unfortunately not here with us, but he also talks about how their meta comedy Penn and Teller Get Killed was one of his favorite comedies growing up. I think that's just it too. Like they are very much like all our favorite, the beloved comedians, like all the Robin Williams and Whoopi Goldbergs of the world, where they have found ways to cater to every crowd. But it's also kind of cool because they're a duo, and so they give each other like something enough for either of them to do. And I would see Penn on political talk shows. I would see Teller at just some other magic trick like stuff that would be like syndicated. And so I think that's just it. Like they have always stayed relevant. Like this is something that no talent agency or casting director could ever predict. It's just fearlessness, just navigating all kinds of stuff, leaving all the bullshit, at home. It's just I love this.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want have his name defamed by not including his breakout role as a computer guy in the semi-classic Hackers.
Oh, that's right. Penn is in Hackers.
Playing out of type, I might add.
Yeah. I'm sure he has similar ideas, but yeah, he's playing a more over the top persona.
Has anyone seen that director's cut that he did? I haven't seen that yet.
Director's cut.
It's a movie called Director's Cut. He's actually prominent on the.
Oh yeah. I did. I think I shared that in a group. I was like, I can't believe this is really a thing. I want to check this out. Yeah, but it's like a 2016 dark comedy horror movie that Adam Rifkin directed. And
Adam Rifkin.
Yeah. Adam Rifkin, you might know from co-writing movies like Small Soldiers, and he did Burt Reynolds' meta drama Final Role, The Last Movie Star. But
and he's written some comics too that I've read, but
yeah, a lot of B movies like Psycho Cop 2. But yeah, I wanted to see it. But yeah, basically Penn plays a guy who's replacing the director of a movie and making his own by capturing the lead actress and inflicting horror upon her. It's a meta like serial killer comedy.
Yeah, he looks psychotic in the image.
Yes, I saw some decent reviews from it, so that's awesome.
Now Penn gets killed in Miami Vice episode he's in.
I think so. Yeah,
I can't remember if Teller does. I think he was
I thought Teller was the bad guy in that episode, right?
It was when Sheena Easton married Don Johnson, and
my god,
she had a corrupt music producer, and he was working with them.
So they happened to be in one of the most infamous ones, the Prodigal Son.
Yeah. We'll go back to New York City. That was actually a pretty great episode.
And I can confirm that I can confirm that Teller did get killed in that episode. He was shot with a silencer.
Okay,
perfect.
How about at this point that people are just now getting
and Gene Simmons was in it too. Oh, that's right. Shit, man.
Yeah.
Did anybody?
You're right. Yeah.
Did anybody see a videotape they put out? I can't remember if it was the late 80s or early 90s or what, but it's a videotape they put out where they had gags that they were doing on the screen, and even some gags that you could participate in. Like
that sounds vaguely familiar.
They try to set you up so that when you time it right, and like say you'd say something was on this, there's like a speck on the TV screen or something while you're watching them do whatever, and so then you go to wipe it, and as you wipe the screen, you have to learn how to wipe it just right because you can see the screen smear. So
they embraced the interactive kind of CD-ROM kind of era, is what you're kind of telling me.
Well, it was videotaped, yeah, but what's it called? Maybe Cruel Tricks or something.
Interactive VHS. Cruel Tricks for Dear Friends. Oh my god.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's going for $34 on Amazon. So that's from 93. That's
93.
awesome.
All right. That, I guess, I knew about them before, but I never really saw them in anything lengthy until I probably saw that videotape.
Hey, that's kind of just the sign. Like, just from day one, they just kind of just had it together, which was we are a duo. That's what we're selling ourselves as, and that's how we're going. And I think what I like is just anytime you see him on anything, whether it's a reality show, even a cooking show, or just some other variety show, I like Teller is always deep in thought, planning his next move, and Penn, even though he's kind of the voice, is just fun in that he's just kind of is very collected. I just it's just kind of comfort food, for lack of a better word.
He's a hell of an orator.
Yeah, he's got the vocals on that dude, man. Yeah, he's he gets your attention. He could do a TED talk, and I would watch it.
Well, he's like Harple to Penn's Chico. Or,
I like that.
Groucho, yeah.
I like that illusion. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Chico, yeah.
No, so you love that. You love
Penn's
this.
More Groucho. Penn's more Groucho. He's pretty smart.
That's good. So they've been nominated for 11 Emmy Awards, winning one in 85 for their Go Public special. They received a Writers Guild of America Award for Bullshit. And Fool Us in 2017 was nominated for a Critics' Choice Award. So that's fucking awesome. They received in 03 the Emperor Has No Clothes Award, which is basically in recognition of what is called plain speaking on the shortcomings of religion by public figures. Wow. They're also recipients of a Hugh Hefner First Amendment Award. In 05, they were awarded the Richard Dawkins Award, which is given to people who raise public consciousness of atheism. Wow, nice. They were nominated for a BAFTA Award for their documentary Tim's Vermeer, which was directed by Penn, basically produced by his stage partner. Actually, it was directed by Teller and produced by Penn. It was about inventor Tim Jennison's efforts to duplicate the painting techniques of Johannes Vermeer. Okay, so see, I like this. Like they're just artistic people. Like they just do all kinds of stuff. They won a 2020 Olivier Award for contributing to a West End production of Magic Goes Wrong with Mischief Theater. So see, these are all just unique awards. Who wouldn't want to win those awards? That's just awesome.
So they do a lot of exposing magicians too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what's cool too. Is just there is no falsification to them. There is no overstaged nature to their antics. Like they've rehearsed this. They got a backup plan for everything.
But they also that show Fool Us, they also compliment or give awards to the guy. I watched one. The guy was doing card tricks and it was really good. And
Nice.
They gave him an award. So
that's been on for about 5 years now. I think. Yeah.
I haven't watched too many of those shows. I just watched one or two, but isn't that where they're usually trying to see if they see the trick and see if they can figure out how it's done?
Yeah.
Kinda.
I guess that's why it's called Fool Us, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Don't bullshit a bullshitter.
Yeah, the one I saw, the guy he kept putting ace through king ace through king with all the suits, and after shuffling, it was actually really well done. I don't know how he did it. Then they gave him a trophy for it. So
lovely.
Either that, I guess they would call him out when they caught how they did the trick.
See, that's just lovely, because most of us, we're movie guys. The most stuff we can find out is like just stuff that happens when you've seen something too many times and you freeze it by accident, and you see the boom mic or the stunt man or unconvincing wig.
In Trucker's Woman, it was a slice of pizza popping up on screen.
Oh my God. There's a callback.
I'll do another callback. Penn and Teller kind of remind me of the flim flam artists, like the Harry Anderson type.
Yeah.
Mixed in with the Amazing Randy.
The Amazing, wow, dude.
Yeah,
they're fans of Amazing Randy. They said that in the episode I watched.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, and they know they can fool us, but they don't insult our intelligence doing it, and they do a great job at pointing out where we get things wrong.
Well, and
So-
you gotta love how South Park is also a fan because they featured it in season 18 of Cock Magic.
Yeah. And
Thanks,
I'll
Randy.
yeah, but I'll also say that they remind me a lot. They have that kind of ethos of the old school, the old school magicians, the ones who they make you suspend disbelief, and there's got to be a trick to it. There's got to be something there, and they let you in on it. But by the same token, they don't do it to the point where it completely destroys the act.
Yeah.
That is true too. Like it's not like a comedian who says, "See what I did there," and it's not like someone who gets too clever for their own good either. Like I'm sure, you know what would be hysterical if they had a special edition of Now You See Me, but they're doing the commentary
That would actually be really good.
because then they would be like, "Yeah, no, that's really awesome, clever plot twist. Couldn't fucking happen at all." Oh man, that'd be great. Um, what? Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what are some of your favorite tricks they've done?
Oh, I can't remember from 2011.
I'll never forget in the Fantasia intro how Teller did like a clever way of like snipping. No, actually, it was Penn. Yeah, no, yeah. Teller clipped Penn's ponytail somehow, and it was just the way he did it. I just was like, as a kid, I'm like, how do you do that? They just would always just have some body language or just some other wacky thing happening in the background. You're like, what? How'd they do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing that I will say. They are masters of the prestige.
Or
They get
misdirect.
the misdirect and the prestige because they get you thinking about something else. Like Penn is just a great charismatic speaker.
Yes.
He's the guy who takes all the attention off of Teller, who is able to do those things, those bits of sleight of hand, and not to take anything away from Penn either.
Well, and I like how you guys contrasted him with the March Brothers. There is a bit of Harpo with Teller. He just kind of has that. You know what he's thinking, even though he doesn't say a single word. Oh, man, it's awesome.
I just remembered seeing this bad movie not too long ago with Linda Blair called Savage Island, and Penn Jillette is actually got a small part in that.
I think he is a huge horror fan. He just loves making fun of just stupid cheese. Wow, Savage Island, directed by one of the guys who later goes on to do Full Moon.
And I'm sure it's one of those movies that got a few different names as it went along.
Oh, it had to. He plays a security guard, so he probably gets killed in it. And I think I did hear him say just obscure movie roles he had done in one interview, and it was just the funniest thing because he's like, "Yeah, it was fun, but I knew it was shit."
Oh, it just occurred to me that Teller, and he doesn't speak, so his name has Tell in it, which
right. Don't
and
say,
Penn,
don't tell.
And Penn talks, but Penn is when you write, so you don't speak.
I never made that connection, but now that you have,
definitely ironic. Yeah, part of.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Isn't it ironic?
I like the bullshit episode when they took on the 9/11 conspiracy theories, the moon landing conspiracy theories, and JFK assassination. They just made it.
I liked it when they talked about breasts.
Ridiculous. They talked about what?
Breasts.
Oh, yeah. I think I did see that clip years ago, but I mean, no, that's true too. Like they basically, they in the early days of the internet, back in 02, 03, someone had to point out just so much bullshit that was just like, what?
Well, that's doing the 9/11 thing, that how horrible it is for the families that lost victims that day,
Well, I remember there was also the discussion about like what should they put back up in place of the buildings, and they're saying, "Put the buildings back up."
Yeah.
Yes.
And instead of what they ended up with, which is what I can't remember what they call it now, but it's like one tower that kind of represents the 9/11.
Oh man!
And the best thing about Penn and Teller when they do those kind of debunks is they take South Park's approach. There are no sacred cows. If it doesn't matter if it's a left wing idea, a right wing idea, it doesn't matter. If it's bullshit, they will call it out.
He's a libertarian, but he comes off as a pretty reasonable guy. Like, he just wants less government interference, but he's still pretty progressive. And like you say, he's objective, he's rational, he's all about, hey, nothing. And I have never heard anyone troll him. I've never seen anyone say overrated. It seems like they're beyond agreeable. Like, I have yet to see anyone just be out of their mind and be like, overrated, man. People leave them alone. They're too smart for even the biggest troll.
I mean, I watched that bullshit show, and I don't. It's kind of like a news program almost in some ways. Of course, it's pointed in a direction, but
it's almost like the Daily Show, kind of. Yeah.
But I tend to agree with the direction they're going in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and Penn, to his credit, I've heard him give some really good interviews. There for a while there, I was listening to a guy out of Chicago, a man called Mueller, and he had Penn on quite a few times, and they had some seriously good conversations about religion and politics and stuff like that. And Penn also has a cameo, or at least a series of cameos, in a film called Michael Moore Hates America.
Oh, that's right.
And the thing is, he wasn't coming off as I hate Michael Moore, stuff like that. He said, and he gave the filmmaker some great advice. He basically said, just be careful that you don't turn into what you're saying you should be against.
Bingo. And Gil mentioned Babylon 5, and that was created by J. Michael Straczynski, who's done everything from the real Ghostbusters to Captain Power, and he's a well-known atheist. But both him and Penn have that thing of, we're not being like a typical atheist where we go out of our way to be a dick and act like anyone who has a religion is a moron. And it's like, no, we're not lighting any fires here. We're just very scientific and everything and spiritual. But yeah, I think that's why he's been used in all kinds of programs. Like, and there's no way to. Penn just has his safeguard up. Like, no one is going to take anything he says out of context or be delusional or make a theory or make him look like a fool. Like, he knows exactly what he's getting into. People don't want to fuck with him. They don't. And it'd be pretty hard to, He probably...
He comes off as a very intelligent person, so yeah.
He probably plays a trick on him in the dressing room rehearsal to where they're like, you know what? I'm not going to ask him that loaded question. He'll see it coming right out the gate and take his headset off. I'd be afraid to play a trick on him. He would probably see me from the side of the room. Like, he's just got an eagle eye. Again, like, if he was teaching a master class, I'd sign up for it.
I read somewhere where he said something about he claimed to have face blindness or something because he didn't recognize his own mother after a show or something.
Wow.
I don't remember where I read it, but
I didn't know that was actually a condition. Wow.
It's weird, yeah.
But yeah, that's prosopagnosia, where you struggle to recognize faces or can't interpret facial expressions and cues.
I'm betting it has more to do with how often he sees faces, maybe. I mean, if he sees faces often enough.
Gotcha. Unless you're on TV every day, he probably won't recognize you. Gotcha.
Yeah.
It is fascinating how we all have the same facial features, but you can distinguish everybody from everybody else, How do you recognize,
Yeah.
The way the eyes are set, or it's really
something goofy about your name or something. Yeah. Speaking of which, they have aged pretty well. Like, Penn has lost a lot of weight over the years, and Teller's still
well,
has blonde hair.
I think that weight loss has made him look quite a bit older. Of course, he's in his 60s right now, isn't he? Or
something
I
like
just
that.
looked. He's almost 70. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
see, but they still look younger than they actually are too, though. That's kind of the thing. Man,
and I'm reading that they started out as a trio, actually.
Oh, who was the third wheel?
Where did I read that?
He started out as... Go ahead.
I'm just trying to find where it says it.
I was going to say in that particular, if that there is a trio with them,
Penn Teller and Christopher performed as a trio called the Asparagus Valley Cultural Society, which played in Philadelphia's Walnut Street Theater and in San Francisco.
Wow.
Yeah, and weird is because in that trio, Teller would still be the silent partner.
Right.
Well, there's one person. Like I said, there's one person I can impersonate on the radio.
Hey, somebody had to do it.
Yeah, but then the Christopher guy retired or quit the business or something.
Hey,
Teller was stealing all of his lines.
I wonder, it'd be cool to see like an old school like rehearsal tape and what that would have been like at like a talent show or whatever. I would bet you someone would have been like, "How did you do that?" Fool me again.
Penn Jillette had one of the only 2 Springsteen references on Miami Vice. He says this guy's going to do the E Street Shuffle at one point in the new episode. The other one was what was that Sledgehammer show?
Was it called Sledgehammer?
God. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The star of that, he was a bad guy, and he says, "Oh, this is a great car I got here, born in the USA." And I think that's the only time they've ever referenced.
Well, you got me wanting to pull out my DVDs now because I haven't watched that in probably 12 years.
Oh, you'll be glad to know for the movie that came out in 2024, The Union, there was a lot of Springsteen music playing, so that made me enjoy it all the more.
Okay.
Springsteen's alive and well. I mean, hell, on Sirius XM, E Street Radio is one of my presets. So
I had to pick this up today.
Okay, for those who can't see,
Springsteen's on the cover, Back from the Dead.
Back from the Dead. You had to pick up a tabloid.
First, I've never bought a tabloid in my life. I said, I got to get this just for a joke.
Just to see what the hell they're saying.
And I read the story. It's 2 pages of maybe 10 words that make sense,
Wow.
And I got that season 1 of Penn and Teller BS. Now I want to get the other 7 seasons because I've been watching it today.
It's on Paramount Plus, so.
Gotcha.
But I want to own it.
Yeah. Gil's a physical guy. Oh man,
hard copies.
I love it.
They also did a good one on people that say they were abducted by aliens.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's you almost feel sorry for him, but it's like, oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the people that are profiting off of them by doing regression therapy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The one woman says, I wanted to see the science when I got here. It's just people hawking wares, at the convention, yeah. So.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I got to watch the rest of those. It's a good show.
Well, and then
you got a new one where they go around the world. I guess it's just starting up on Amazon Prime.
It's a shame they couldn't do it Russell Crowe South Park style. Flying around the world.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm the worst.
But oh yeah, and there's one because it kind of hits close to home for me because my aunt before she passed away, she my cousin, it was her mother, was putting her through all these things like the magnets and stuff like that, the holistic healing kind of stuff.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And I watched an episode of that for Penn and Teller's BS where they were talking about how, hey, it's bullshit.
It gets you in that same mode where it's just like now. I think people like it even more because it turned their actual bullshit meter on. You know, the cake is a lie.
Yep.
Yeah, they're exposing the act.
Smarter than the average bear.
It's like pulling the rug out of the magic deck. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah, and they do it with style too. Like they're half the time they're doing magic tricks while they're pointing out inaccuracies and other stuff. So I think, yeah, it's pretty hard to go wrong with these guys.
Like I said, I didn't agree. I didn't disagree with anything that they did on their show. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to disagree, like we've said before. Oh man,
because a lot of it is involving common sense when it usually comes to the decisions that some of these people should have made versus what they did do.
Right. My citation: look in the mirror. Yeah.
I like the bit on the moon landing one where this guy, there's a photo of a rock up there with the letter C on it. He was trying to say it was the prop people put a letter C on that. They proved prop people they don't label. Yeah,
where they were talking about faking the moon landing kind of thing.
Yeah. And also it turned out the C was actually a piece of hair on the film on the print because they had the original photo. Of course, they're part of the conspiracy saying that too. It goes on.
Goes on and on.
Yeah, they could do a whole series just on busting conspiracies.
Yeah, we really need it right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Isn't there a show already out there like that?
Mythbusters?
Yeah. Mythbusters was kind of the other side of the coin on that. Although they were mainly movies and just pop culture references where you're just like, yeah, people say that a lot, or it's a figure of speech. Can it actually work? It's like, no, shoot it. My favorite was one that was in various movies and it's like, yeah, no, this is a thing in 90s cinema, but you can shoot a window out on a plane, but it's not going to decompress and take out half the thing.
Oh yeah, you always see that in movies, sure.
Yeah, and it's and the other kicker is just, I think that show opened up how you realize half the people setting off stuff that's implausible, they know it's fake, but they do it they make it look so believable. That's the other kicker where it's like, this can't happen, but you made me buy it all this years that, a car blows up instantly when it crashes. Stupid shit.
My favorite thing with the moon landing conspiracy is that they never mentioned the other 11 times we were up there,
I think they just wanted to go to the cream of the crop. What's the one that's like, you gotta have lost it to just believe, Let's go for the real kisser one, it's like, gotcha.
Yeah, the moon landing was totally fake, and Hollywood showed us that in Saturn 3, which was a documentary.
Saturn 3. There's cyborgs and Farrah Fawcett up there too. Yeah. Oh wow.
That'd be a hell of Capricorn 1.
Thomas, you sound like you should be saying. Thomas, you sound like you should be saying. Ned Beatty. We really like Ned Beatty.
Yeah, we really like Ned Beatty a lot.
His story is a great documentary, man.
Yeah, Capricorn 1. It showed us what NASA really do with the moon landing and stuff.
You can't trust
and they had
him.
O.J. Simpson, and he would never lie to us.
Oh my God.
I love what Neil deGrasse Tyson said about that. He says, yeah, they faked the moon landing, but they shot it on location.
That's what they do.
That makes your brain just go, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one, and Neil has a good sense of humor. You got to if you're a scientist telling people how full of shit they are every day. I mean, he's he was part of the reason a lot of people wanted to start watching The Expanse. They're like, what? It's got actual science in it. It's like they did their best. They passed the first act, unlike Gravity. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, haven't Penn hasn't he done a few voiceovers? I think
Oh, I mean, he's bound to have.
I'm
I
looking.
couldn't. Well, he's done voiceovers on Comedy Central.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he plays a guy who actually looks a lot like him in Borderlands Free, a guy named Payne.
Yeah, that's right. Penn and
As-
Teller were both in
I
Borderlands
wonder.
3.
I
as
wonder if he has a
well.
cameo in the movie.
Oh man,
They started using him in the Gizmoplex again too on Mystery Science Theater.
that's right.
They did.
Cool.
Well, I mean, I've seen them all, but
Yeah, real briefly. He plays a version of himself on the Mucha Lucha movie, as well as on Futurama and Scooby Doo and Guess Who TV show. So there you go.
There was a little bit of a feud between Mystery Science Theater and him because he would start talking over the end credits. And,
Yeah, people were talking shit, and he's like, "I'm
but
just
then he kind of
introducing."
ran with it for a little bit, and I think they resolved that. So
You know.
well, he did. I'm sure he doesn't have any control of where they put his voicing over.
that's true.
Yeah, he just voiced
Comedy
it.
Centrals, yeah.
He's the TV announcer in a Toy Story special.
Yeah, saw that.
And he's played himself on The Simpsons and played a character named Flea on various Cartoon Network shows. Yeah. Oh, that's right. He was also in the Toy Story animated storybook, which I think I used to have on computer.
Sharknado 3, which I have yet to see.
Someone had to do it. Is that the one with Mark Cuban? I might have seen that one.
That's not the one where they go into space, is it?
I think it's
I've
4.
only seen the first two and only through
I prefer the La Vantula crossover.
Did you see the first two only because it was a riff track?
Yeah,
that's
that's what
what
he's
sounds
implying. Yeah. He plays Magic Marty in Pluto's Devil on a few Disney House of Mouse episodes and other stuff. Oh, that's right. He was the Leopard Seal gang member in Farce of the Penguins.
Yes.
For those who didn't see it, it was a dead-on spoof of March of the Penguins, but various actors and comedians doing not safe for work voiceovers, putting their own stuff over stock footage, and it was amazing. I think I own it still. Fuck it, I'll buy it again. I love it that much. I've
Well, I
seen
might
the
have to look
special
at-
features. They're just as funny. Sorry, go ahead.
I might have to look at YouTube for those cruel tricks or whatever to remind me of what I was seeing back then.
There's got to be someone who's filmed the entire outcomes and everything. Oh man.
Well, I was actually even going to entertain the idea when I saw the videotape of actually trying to.
Actually trying to buy it.
Huh?
Actually trying to buy it. Sorry.
Me?
Yeah, the last part of your voice went out.
Oh no, I was actually trying to show it to friends.
Oh.
And but I never had any parties when I saw that videotape, so I never, and it was a rental.
Ah, shucks.
He did do an episode of Friends too.
Ah, was he playing himself or was he playing just like a random guy in a store?
I don't know. I never watched the show, but I'm just going through the dictionary here.
I'm going to the Friends book now.
Yeah.
It was
The one
Rebo
with
and
the
Zooty.
cuffs. The one with the cuffs.
The one with the cuffs. He played an American magician.
I'll be there for you, or maybe not.
That always bothered me about Friends, the way they titled those episodes. The one where, like, we all sat around the next day. Oh, the one where, like, we all watched the show,
I think it was just predicting the whole
Yeah.
how people were going to remember it after the fact.
Yeah.
Did he ever do an episode of Seinfeld? I'm surprised he hasn't. If he hasn't,
I don't think so.
yeah,
No,
definitely check out. Like again, if you're going to go
Lois
into
and
any.
Clark, the New Adventures of Superman.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So something from the '90s then.
Yeah. Well, pretty much everything. Yeah, from the '90s and early 2000s. Right?
Regular on Hollywood Squares for 6-7 years.
Oh yes,
That's right. Yeah.
he was kicking
Is
ass.
that the one with
in those
Tom
games.
Bergeron?
I think so. I think.
Yeah.
post Whoopi Goldberg.
I know there for a time they had one where it was the Hollywood Squares match game hour with but so I was hoping it wasn't that one, but I'm thinking it was the Tom Bergeron version.
Wow, I had no idea. He's been on episodes of Scorpion, Billions, and Code Black, and the recent version of Spring of the Teenage Witch. Holy shit.
That's right.
I need to check
the one that
out.
was on Netflix.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to watch that, I guess.
I thought he was also. Yeah, I think it was also on the one with Melissa Joan Hart.
Maybe
that's the one I thought he was.
I thought so
pretty much
too,
in.
but I'm seeing one for 2021, so maybe I don't know if he's playing the same character or not. Bernie Mac's show, that was a good appearance. Just Shoot Me, I'm not surprised. Las Vegas, that makes sense because get it, they're based in Vegas. Home Improvement, I think I saw the Drew Carey show one. That's a pretty awesome. I would kill to have that stack of guest appearances.
Well, it's kind of interesting because they kind of like they're kind of like on the outskirts of Hollywood. They make appearances in lots of things, but they're really still kind of on the outskirts of it.
If the worst thing you've done is Tough Guys Don't Dance, that's a pretty good role. It's a pretty good run.
He plays Drell on 4 shows, the original Sabrina.
Okay.
He's in the pilot.
Gotcha.
He played the character named Drell, Drell. Now, TV's Frank is involved with that show too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Drell and Skippy. Drell and Skippy.
Drell and Skippy. I think I did see him in the documentary that was about the amazing Jonathan. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
He was a magician. He did one for Gilbert Gottfried. Yeah. He's been on Anthony Bourdain. I think I might have seen that one. Yeah. Pretty awesome.
I remember seeing Amazing Jonathan in Grand Rapids back in the 80s.
Oh, man.
I don't know if he started here or...
I did see him when he was an Iron Chef America judge. That was fun.
Yeah.
I think, oh, that's right. I did see him on Larry Wilmore's nightly show on Comedy Central. It was on after the Daily Show. And obviously, anyone who's seen the Aristocrats documentary has definitely seen him there.
Well, he died. He died in 2022.
Penn Jillette?
No, I'm sorry. Amazing Jonathan. I'm still
I hope not.
So the Detroit Tigers are playing. The Detroit Tigers are playing the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm gonna have to rewatch that last version of The Tick because apparently they played Fiery Blaze and Friendly Fire.
Oh, that's great. I think I did. Go ahead.
No, that was a different one. I was thinking of the one with Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, so
don't think about it, chum.
Don't think about it. I think I did see their Discovery Channel special Off the Deep End, and they apparently also I can't believe this. They were in an 86 episode of Saturday Night Live. Was that still during the infamous season that won't ever be re-aired, or?
Oh, 1980 was that year, right? With Gilbert Gottfried and.
Oh no, this is 86. So.
Oh, another one. There was a couple. Okay.
I don't know. I think I did see Comic Relief 2, which was back in 87. Go.
Saturday Night Live, 7 episodes. 86.
Oh, okay. So they had multiple ones. Okay. The Apprentice. Hey, everybody was doing that show back then. Numbers. That makes sense. It's a science-based show, and Dancing with the Stars. I have no doubt he was a good dancer. He was on a show called Wizard Wars, where novice magicians compete against each other. See, that makes sense.
Young Sheldon playing Pimple and Puss.
So who was Pimple and who was Puss?
I'll go, Penn and Teller, so Pimple and Puss.
Okay, perfect. He's the bigger one to squeeze. There you go. They're in the special Good Night, We Love You, The Life and Legend of Phyllis Diller. Mr. Warmth, the Don Rickles project, and Larry the Cable Guy's Christmas Spectacular. Okay. VH1 Rock Honors, as well as Dead On, The Life and Cinema of George A. Romero, which I think I have heard of that documentary, but I haven't seen it. And Misery Loves Comedy, which is a 2014 doc just talking about how the debate on whether it is essential to be miserable in order to be successful as a comedian. So, see, they're making good use of their talent by sharing their advice. You know,
there's a theater thing in here, and I think somebody might have mentioned it earlier. I'm not sure. Magic Goes Wrong, a 2019 comedy play in collaboration with Mischief Theater.
Jeez. They had to have been on the Muppets, certainly.
Yes,
right?
they were. They were.
Was it Muppets Tonight or back in the
that. I think it might go back further, but
okay. So season 2 of Muppets Tonight.
No.
Where they're showing how they did the trick, much to the confusion of Andy and Randy Pig. And ironically enough, they did a shout out to Muppets later on a 4th season episode of Bullshit, where they had think tank consultants and they were introduced by name, and Penn said, "We asked them why there are so many songs about rainbows. They have no idea. They did know something about the national debt, though." Wow. That's awesome.
Now you just made me think of Legion.
Oh, the X-Men show.
Yeah, because there's the song, why are there so many songs about rainbows, or the Rainbow Connection is the name of the song. They sang it in that show in an episode, and it came off as a really creepy way they sang it.
Yeah, that show it played around.
He did a Hanging with Dr. Z, season 2, episode 6. I forgot about that.
Dr. Z
Dana Gould's show where he's one of the Planet of the Apes characters.
Is it Dana Gould or is
Gould.
it
Dana Gould?
Well, is it him? I'm trying to think of this other guy that I thought he did that show, but I can't think of his name.
Dana Gould does it.
Dana Gould, okay.
But we're not supposed to know that, I think. It's on YouTube.
So for anybody who's now catching up on this, forget you heard anything.
Yeah.
When I was watching Bullshit, I started thinking about the fact they kind of took up the mantle for Houdini in a way.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah, exactly.
Debunking stuff and.
Oh, he would debunk seances.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they did have. I think they had a show where they were talking about seances and stuff like that, but it was lumped in with some other stuff.
Basically, it. Yeah. I'm sure they'd throw any of our other classic comedians for a loop. Like, I'm sure George Carlin or Richard Pryor would be like, "How the hell did you do that?" You'd have to be a fool to even want to diss them. Like, why would you? Like, they don't go out of their way to say they're brilliant, but they're just good at just detecting something wrong. And I mean, you have to, I'm sure, be very scientific and be very aware of your surroundings in order to be a successful magician.
Yeah.
Be quick on your feet.
Bingo. Couldn't find anything on where they were trained or not, if they went to any comedy troupes, but they're definitely beloved by all comedians around the world. Again, hats off for anyone who can stay relevant for 40 years in a row. That's fucking awesome.
Well, and then they've had that. Have they had the longest running act in Vegas?
It's looking like it so far. They're definitely a constant participant. And I think that's because we expect kind of a bunch of magic shows and other kind of stuff, I think that's how they've survived. Because I know Brad Sherwood and Colin Mockery said in some interviews I heard recently how when they first went there back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, it was kind of a swamp. There was just a lot of rude crowds who were kind of more of the standoffish stand-up crowd instead of the audience participation and improv set. So now it's pretty much a who's who. Everyone's going to pay top dollar for anything from a music concert to some other live event. So, but there again, that's the kind of act where it's just it's just beyond adaptable.
Well, I know I'm going to be going to Germany sometime soon, but my mom has been really wanting to go to Vegas. So my wife and I, we want to take her. In fact, we thought about taking her this year, but then we changed and we're going to Germany instead for 2 weeks. But yeah, we want to take my wife or my mom, and my wife and I want to take her to see Penn and Teller in Vegas.
Sure. I think I saw a billboard for him 2 months ago. So there you go. That's just, again, always consistent, always staying afloat, always getting everyone's attention. Even if you've never seen them, you know their name. Like, that's just how persistent.
Yeah. They do have the longest running show in Vegas as far as the act goes. The rest are like Les Folies Bergère, Jubilee, Tournament of Kings,
Tournament of Kings. Hail to the King, baby.
Circus Soleil was the only familiar name I heard.
Yeah. But they were the name act. The rest were like, various artists playing. So Legend Concert, which is a sound-alikes or something. If you want to see Bruce Springsteen and can't afford a ticket, and somebody, Aretha Franklin, whoever, Elvis, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, the only name act that on this list of the longest running was Penn and Teller. So there you go.
Yeah.
I was wondering because I can't remember when they started, but I knew they'd been there for a very long time. I just didn't know if they were the oldest act.
Huh. They might as well be. They're keeping with it.
Man, of course, the award for the Stalest act still goes to Carrot Top.
Oh, how dare you, sir? Mention.
How dare I? I've seen him.
Well, no, I'm not saying you're wrong to diss him. I'm just saying, why would you want to bring him up in the same name as someone who has talent?
Yes, it sort of still show the opposite side of the spectrum. To give all sides a chance.
Oh, okay.
I love what Albert Brooks says about Carrot Top. How does he fly with all those, how does he get on planes, with all the...
Wow.
Maybe he buys them at the local flea market or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Penn and Teller, 23 years in Vegas, it says here. I don't know when this article was published, but
meh.
March 2024. So yeah, probably going on 24 years.
Breaking the law.
So since 2000, yeah. Interesting. All right.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small-town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a